Welcome to Best Recaps, the world of fast-forwarded movies. Please be aware of spoilers. Is it possible for chicken wings to put a man's life in danger? Teacher Charlie is willing to take that risk.
Fraser comes across as morbidly obese Charlie, whose health is deteriorating and his days are numbered. There is one last thing Charlie wants to do before he leaves: to reconnect with his daughter Ellie. The theme of the flawed character trying to pay penance, which we are familiar with from Aronofsky's previous works, also appears in The Whale. Charlie feels the need to correct some mistakes he has made in the past. Before reaching the point of no return, he wants to compensate to a certain extent for the defects he has committed. Aronofsky manages to brilliantly capture the psychological drama and tension in his films in every sense. So much so that in the end, it can be difficult to refocus on what you've just watched because you've been too emotionally affected by all this. Aronofsky, as a director, always does a good job in the sense of being able to provide a representation of a person or a community in distress. This is why, despite Charlie's past sins, we are able to continue to understand and empathize with Charlie. Samuel D. The Whale, an award-winning theatrical play written by Hunter, positions the character of Charlie as a kind of Jesus figure. But what or whom Charlie needs to save is not given so clearly at first glance. Charlie, just like Jesus, is portrayed in agony in every scene, both physically and spiritually. The film also emphasizes that Charlie does not expect mercy or forgiveness from others. He knows how out of control his life is, but he wants to be able to do one last thing for himself before it's too late.
Abandoning the family. Charlie refuses to discuss his partner's death and asks Ellie to write a brief essay while he is away. In the bathroom, Charlie weeps, but Ellie overhears him. The preacher boy, Thomas, has arrived at the doorstep and offered to help the fat man. Ellie left Thomas with his father after discovering where he came from, promising to return the next day for his essay. However, instead of working, Charlie sat down with Thomas and discussed the end of the world and great writing. Thomas attempted to convince the fat man that he could be saved, but Charlie disagreed and suggested that the only way Thomas could help was by opening the mysterious door with the key under the bed. Liz interrupted their conversation by returning with a gift, a wheelchair. Upon seeing Thomas, Liz became angry, but Charlie explained that he had invited the boy to help. The wheelchair fit the fat man, and he was happy to have his hands free. While the fat man was fascinated by the new transport, Liz took Thomas outside to talk to him. She asked him not to come again, but Thomas insisted on being Charlie's spiritual advisor. Liz shared the tragic story of her family's connection to the sect in which Thomas served. Despite this, Thomas still wanted to help. Liz rudely ordered him out of the fat man's life, but Charlie asked her to calm down. Charlie finally gained access to the room he had been trying to enter all morning. But the wheelchair was too wide for the doorway. The fat man had to look down the hallway at his cherished possessions and breathe in the room's scent.
We can say that The Whale is much more than an emotional drama about an overweight man gaining weight and moving away from his family because he is traumatized by the death of a loved one. Aronofsky's film also plays admirably with the thematic traditions of literature, art, and religion at its core. Throughout the film, whenever Charlie feels close to death, he tries to read his daughter's article on Moby Dick. Thus, Aronofsky reinforces the idea that literature can be a salvation even in the eternal extinction of mankind with the article that has no value for Ellie. We see a flow of the 7 deadly sins throughout the film. The most obvious of these are greed, gluttony, and laziness. But as the story progresses, we learn how Charlie abandoned his family out of lust for his dead partner. The fact that he left his family and left causes great jealousy in his ex-wife. Later, Charlie leaves the two remaining people alone with anger, which is another sin. The last sin, pride, comes across with Charlie not going to the hospital even when he is on the verge of death, even if he has money.